A false friend is more dangerous than a wild beast. A beast may wound your body, but a false friend will wound your mind. You've gotten that feeling from them, haven't you? And no, it's not a loud alarm or a flashing red light. It's quieter. It's a static in the air, a low hum beneath a perfectly polite conversation, that tiny, almost imperceptible hesitation before they smile, the compliment that feels like a beautifully wrapped but completely empty box. You hold it in your hands, knowing there's nothing inside, yet you're expected to admire the wrapping paper. That colleague who praises your work, but their voice is so utterly flat it could be used as a level. That friend who cancels plans at the last minute, again with an excuse that feels as flimsy and thin as a spider's web. Something is just off. And that feeling is a slow poison to your confidence, making you question the very ground you stand on. Am I imagining this? Am I just being too sensitive? Am I the problem? This internal monologue is exhausting, a second job you never applied for. What if you're not imagining it? What if that feeling is your intuition, screaming a truth you're not ready to hear? What if their smile is just a mask, a carefully constructed shield for a storm of resentment, envy, or simple disdain brewing just behind their eyes? It's an unsettling thought and a profoundly lonely one. This isn't about dramatic, cinematic betrayals with swelling orchestral scores. It's about the 1,000 tiny paper cuts, the micro-dismissals that leave you feeling confused, drained, and questioning your own reality. It's the death of a connection by 1,000 qualifications. The truth isn't found in what people say. Their words are a smokescreen. The truth slips through in the silences. In the moments where the mask slips for a fraction of a second, and you see it. Discomfort, dismissal, maybe even disdain. In this video, we're not just going to spot fake smiles. We're going to decode the invisible signals of hidden dislike that people broadcast unconsciously. We are going to develop a kind of social X-ray vision, not to judge or condemn, but to become calm, clear observers of human nature. You will learn to read the secret language of the body and the subtle energy of a room. But here's the secret most people miss. Spotting these signs is only the first step. Without the right framework, it's like learning to read a map of a minefield without knowing how to disarm the mines. It only increases your anxiety. The real power, the life-changing part, is what you do next. And for that, we turn to the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. We're going to arm you with a mental framework to not just see the truth, but to protect your peace in the face of it. To understand, on a deep level, that their feelings are not a reflection of your worth, and to navigate these treacherous social waters with a calm, unshakable inner citadel. So, if you've ever felt that chill in a warm room, this video is for you. We're about to turn social anxiety into a social superpower. Now, before we get into the signals, we have to build our foundation. This is the most crucial step. Without the right mindset, spotting these signs will only lead to more anxiety and paranoia. The goal here isn't to collect grievances or build a case against the world, it's to cultivate impenetrable inner peace. This is why we turn to the Stoics, the ancient masters of the human mind. The Stoics, figures like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, weren't dusty academics in ivory towers. They were generals on the battlefield, statesmen navigating treacherous political courts, and advisors to volatile emperors. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world, writing in his private journal about betrayal and incompetence from those closest to him. Seneca was a powerful advisor navigating the viper's nest of Nero's court, a man who eventually ordered Seneca's death. They understood fake friends and hidden enemies better than anyone. Their philosophy is intensely practical, forged in the fires of high-stakes reality, and it rests on a few core principles that will be our guide. The first and most important is the dichotomy of control. Epictetus said it simply, "Some things are up to us and some are not." What others think of you, their secret feelings, their hidden resentment, their private opinions whispered to others, are fundamentally not up to you. Trying to control their opinion is like trying to command the weather, sculpt water, or argue with an echo. It's a recipe for endless frustration and a complete waste of your vital energy. What is up to us? Our judgments, our reactions, and our next move. This is where your true power lies. A Stoic doesn't ask, "How do I make them like me?" A Stoic asks, "Given that they may not like me, what is the most rational and virtuous way for me to respond to preserve my peace and integrity?" The power isn't in changing their mind, it's in mastering your own. The second principle is objective judgment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." Your brain isn't a camera, it's a storyteller. It takes raw data and instantly weaves a narrative, usually with you as the main character. When someone gives you a one-word answer, the storyteller screams, "They hate me, I'm boring, I did something wrong." A Stoic presses pause on that storyteller. They deconstruct the event. They observe the raw data. Their body is angled away. Their smile doesn't reach their eyes. The answer was one word. They see it as information about the other person's internal state, their distraction, their discomfort, their character, not a verdict on their own worth. As Marcus put it, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. Finally, the practice of mindful observation, or prososh. This is a state of calm, vigilant awareness. This isn't about becoming a detective in your own life, interrogating every glance and dusting every conversation for fingerprints of dislike. That way lies madness. It's about becoming an antenna, not a radar dish. You're not actively searching for threats, you're simply becoming more sensitive to the signals that are already there, observing them without instantly labeling them good or bad. It's a relaxed alertness, a state of being present enough to notice the emotional temperature of an interaction without getting burned by it. By equipping ourselves with this Stoic toolkit, we transform this from an exercise in social anxiety into one of social mastery. Now, with that foundation in place, let's explore the first signal. The first and most primal signal is in the eyes. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul for a reason. They are incredibly difficult to control. Our pupils dilate in response to interest and constrict in response to negativity, an action we have zero conscious control over. And the signal of dislike often shows up in two opposite extremes: total avoidance or a stare that feels more like a confrontation than a connection. Let's start with avoidance. You're talking, sharing something you're passionate about, and you notice their eyes are everywhere but on you. They're darting to the door, checking their phone, looking over your shoulder, suddenly fascinated by a spot on the wall. This isn't the occasional normal social glance away that we all do to gather our thoughts. That's a social flutter. This is a sustained, consistent pattern of disengagement. It feels like their gaze is allergic to yours. The psychology here is simple. Maintaining eye contact requires significant cognitive resources. When someone is actively suppressing a strong emotion like dislike or resentment, while simultaneously trying to appear polite, their brain is overloaded. It's incredibly hard to lie or mask an emotion and maintain direct eye contact at the same time. Looking away is a subconscious strategy to reduce that mental load. It is a non-verbal scream of, "I am not present. I am not engaged here. I wish to be somewhere else." Their mind has already left the conversation, and their eyes are looking for an escape route for their body. But what about the opposite, the overly intense stare? This is less common, but profoundly more unsettling. This is when someone locks onto your eyes with an unblinking predatory intensity. It doesn't feel like connection. It feels like a challenge, like you're being pinned to the wall by their gaze. This is often a clumsy overcompensation. They know that avoiding eye contact is a sign of discomfort or deception, so they force themselves to do the exact opposite. But they overcorrect, turning a natural connection tool into a weapon. Genuine eye contact is relaxed, with small breaks. It ebbs and flows like a gentle tide. A forced stare feels aggressive because, on a subconscious level, it is. It's a dominance display. a primitive attempt to control the interaction, unnerve you, and make you uncomfortable. It's the visual equivalent of someone grabbing you by the shoulders. So, how does a Stoic view this? Whether they're looking away or staring you down, the response is the same. Calm observation. You are not a victim of their gaze. You are a student of it. You note the data point. You don't jump to the story. What's wrong with me? Why are they looking at me like that? Instead, you ask a more objective question. What does this tell me about their internal state? Their inability to hold a natural gaze signals their discomfort, their conflict, their aggression. It is a reflection of their character, not a verdict on yours. You simply observe, their gaze is avoidant, or their gaze is intense, and leave it at that. But how do you tell the difference between genuine dislike and simple shyness? The key is to look for clusters of signals. A shy person might avoid your gaze, but their other body language will likely be open and oriented towards you. They might be nervous, but there's a palpable desire to connect. Dislike is cold. The averted eyes will be paired with a tense jaw, clipped verbal responses, and a closed-off posture. It's the difference between someone who is afraid to connect and someone who has absolutely no interest in connecting at all. The second signal is broadcast by the entire body. It's the physical manifestation of an emotional barrier. It is the silent wall of closed and defensive body language. The mouth can lie, but the body often speaks the unvarnished truth, building a fortress brick by brick without a single word. The classic sign is crossed arms. Now, let's be clear. Someone might cross their arms because they're cold, or it's simply a comfortable habit. Context is everything. We aren't looking for single clues. We're looking for a conspiracy of signals. But when that arm cross appears the moment you begin speaking, or is coupled with other negative signals, it's a shield. It's a subconscious, primitive way of creating a barrier and closing themselves off from you. But it goes far beyond just crossed arms. Look at how they orient their body. This is called ventral denial. Your ventral side, your front, containing all your vital organs, is the most vulnerable part of your body. When we trust someone and feel comfortable, we unconsciously expose it to them. When we feel threatened or dislike someone, our ancient lizard brain kicks in and we shield it. Look for their torso and feet angling away from you, perhaps towards the nearest exit. Their mouth may be politely facing you, but their body is already halfway out the door. Their feet are the most honest part of the body. They point where the mind wants to go. Pay attention to objects used as barriers. They might hold their coffee cup, their phone, or a notebook in front of their chest, creating a literal wall between you and them. They might angle their laptop screen to create a partition, or place their purse on the chair between you. These aren't conscious moves. It's their brain attempting to create a sense of safety from what it perceives as a social threat. You. Another incredibly powerful tell is lip compression, where the lips press together into a thin, hard line, sometimes seeming to disappear entirely. This is a universal sign of negative sentiment, stress, or suppressed anger. Think of it as the mouth physically holding back the words it really wants to say. Watch for it when you share good news or an achievement. A genuine smile is relaxed, but a person hiding dislike will often betray their true feelings with a momentary fleeting tightening of the lips before they arrange their face into a happy-for-you expression. It's a micro-expression of their true feelings leaking out before the mask is put back in place. The Stoic response isn't to try and break down this wall. That's a waste of precious energy and a violation of the boundary they are clearly setting. Instead, the Stoic practices objective observation. Their defensive body language is a map of their internal landscape. It's not a judgment on you, it's a statement about them. The key is consistency and context. Do they do this only with you, while they're relaxed and open with others? Does the pattern repeat every time you interact? A Stoic is a pattern recognition machine. They gather data dispassionately. When a consistent pattern of defensive behavior emerges, they accept the reality of what it means without adding a story of personal failing. They don't get offended. They simply take the information and use it to decide where to invest their energy. They see the wall not as an insult, but as a signpost, guiding them away from barren ground. This next signal is one of the most subtle yet powerful of all. It's the absence of something you don't even know you're looking for until it's gone. It is the lack of mirroring or synchrony. When we feel a real connection with someone, something magical and automatic happens. Our brains, specifically our mirror neurons, cause us to subconsciously mimic their behavior. This is called limbic synchrony, or mirroring. If they lean in, we lean in. If they cross their legs, we cross ours. If they rub their chin, we find ourselves rubbing our own. If they smile, we smile back without thinking. It's the unspoken dance of rapport, the brain's way of saying, I am with you. We are in sync. We are the same tribe. It's a deeply ingrained biological signal of trust and belonging. When someone secretly dislikes you, this dance stops. The music dies. The connection is severed. You'll feel this as being perpetually out of sync. It's exhausting and deeply unsettling, like you're speaking a language only you understand. You lean in with enthusiasm. They lean back, physically creating space. You offer a warm, genuine smile. Their face remains a polite, static mask, or the smile is delayed by a fraction of a second. You speak with energy and passion. Their replies are flat and monotone. It feels like you're trying to start a dance with someone who has their back turned to you. You're sending out signals of connection that are being met with a void, an emotional dead zone. It's not just posture, it's language, head-nodding rhythm, even blinking speed. Studies show people who are in rapport use similar language patterns and fall into a shared physical rhythm. When someone consistently responds to your informal, energetic language with cold, formal language, it's another form of this disconnect. They're refusing to meet you on the same plane, creating a dissonance that you can feel in your gut. So, how does a Stoic approach this? First, they recognize it as one of the most reliable signals. A single gesture can be ambiguous, but a persistent lack of mirroring is a strong indicator of fundamental disinterest or dislike. A Stoic doesn't get offended. Offense is a judgment, an opinion we add to the event. The event itself is simply that your signals aren't being returned. The lack of returned energy is not a personal failure. It is objective data. A Stoic sees this not as rejection, but as clarification. The person is clearly communicating they are not open to connection. Thank you for the information. This data point tells you this is not someone to confide in, collaborate with, or invest your precious emotional energy in. It's a clear signpost directing your efforts elsewhere. But what if they mirror you too much? This is the dark side of mirroring, often used by manipulators who have learned that mirroring builds rapport and they wield it as a tool. Faked mirroring, however, often feels off. Like a badly dubbed movie, the timing is just slightly wrong. They might mirror a gesture a full second after you've made it, or copy you so perfectly it feels like they are mocking you. It feels creepy instead of natural. Your subconscious mind is a brilliant pattern recognition machine. It knows the natural rhythm of human interaction, and faked mirroring violates it. Trust that feeling of unease. Genuine mirroring creates warmth. Manipulative mirroring creates a chill. Signal 4 moves into the realm of speech, but it's not about what is said. It's about the vast, empty spaces around the words. This is minimal or forced verbal engagement. It's the sound of a hollowed-out conversation, an echo chamber where your own voice is the only thing you hear. This shows up in a few main ways: the conversation desert, the topic hijack, and the backhanded compliment. First, the conversation desert. This is where you feel like you are single-handedly holding the entire interaction aloft through sheer force of will. Think of conversation as a fire. Both people need to add logs to keep it burning. With this person, you're the only one adding logs while they just watch the flames die, or perhaps even pour water on them. Their responses are clipped and short. You ask, "How was your weekend?" They say, "Fine." End of sentence. No return question. You share an exciting story, and they respond with a flat, "Oh, wow." You are met with one-word answers and conversational dead ends. Crucially, they rarely, if ever, ask you questions. This lack of curiosity is a profound statement. It says, I am not invested in you, your life, or your experiences. They don't inquire about your day, your project, or your well-being. This can evolve into the topic hijack. When you do manage to speak about something, they will use the first available opportunity to pivot the conversation back to themselves, showing no real engagement with what you shared. You are not a conversation partner. You are an audience for their silence or a springboard for their own monologue. Then there's the more insidious form, forced politeness, which often manifests as the backhanded compliment or the qualified praise. That's a surprisingly good idea for you. You clean up really well. I almost didn't recognize you. I'm so impressed you finished that project. I never thought you'd pull it off. The qualifier is the poison hidden in the sugar. Pay close attention to the pause. When you share good news, I finally got the promotion. And there is a tiny, fractional pause before they say, that's great. That pause is everything. In that gap, their genuine emotion, envy, resentment, surprise, fought with their social obligation to be polite, and the obligation won. But it was late to the party. The Stoic approach is to listen to the silence between the words. They do not try to fill the silence by talking more or talking louder. They don't desperately try to win the person over with a better story. That's a losing game, like trying to fill a bucket with no bottom. Instead, the Stoic gracefully matches the other person's level of engagement. If they give a one-word answer, the Stoic accepts it and allows the silence to hang. They give the other person the exit they are so clearly asking for, rather than trapping them in a conversation they don't want to be in. When the words say yes, but the tone and timing scream no, you believe the non-verbal cues. The wise response is not a confrontation. Instead, you make a quiet, internal note. This is not a person who genuinely celebrates my successes. This isn't bitterness. It's a strategic assessment. It's self-preservation. The final signal is primal, operating on a level that predates language itself. It's about territory, safety, and power. It's the invisible fence, the signal sent by how a person manages the physical space around you. This field of study is called proxemics, and it's one of the most honest signals because it's almost entirely subconscious. This can manifest in two opposite ways: the constant need for too much distance or the invasive encroachment on your personal space. Let's first look at the distancer. We all have a personal space bubble, an intimate zone of about 18 inches and a personal zone of about 4 feet. When someone consistently stays just outside of this bubble, or even further, it's a significant tell. In a meeting, they'll leave an empty chair between you when it's not necessary. In a group, they position themselves furthest from you. If you approach them, they might take a subtle step back, re-establishing their preferred distance. The body seeks comfort, and for them, comfort is distance from you. You may notice this on a sidewalk where they drift to the absolute furthest edge, or in an office kitchen where they wait for you to leave before they enter. Less common but more aggressive is the invader. This is when someone who displays other signs of dislike gets too close in a way that feels intimidating, not intimate. This is not the closeness of a friend. This is the closeness of a predator asserting dominance. They might stand uncomfortably near you when there is plenty of other space, forcing you to crane your neck to look at them. They might lean over you at your desk, placing their hands on your chair, encroaching on your territory. This is not about connection. It is a power move, a subtle form of physical intimidation designed to make you feel small, uncomfortable, and subordinate. The Stoic response is grounded in their inner citadel. Your mind is a fortress. Another person's physical position in a room cannot breach its walls unless you grant it permission. Their proximity is an external event. Your reaction to it is internal and entirely within your control. A Stoic observes this use of space as pure data. If someone is consistently distancing themselves, the Stoic doesn't chase them. They don't try to close the gap. They respect the boundary the other person is clearly setting and make a mental note. This person requires distance. This is not a foundation for a close relationship. They accept this reality without taking it personally. If someone invades their space, the Stoic does not shrink back in fear or react with anger, as both responses signal that the intimidation was successful. Instead, they might calmly and deliberately take a small step back or turn their body 90 degrees to address someone else, naturally reclaiming their space without creating a conflict. They control what they can control, their own position, without surrendering to intimidation. The key is not the specific distance, but the inconsistency relative to others. If they stand a foot away from everyone else, but 3 feet away from you, that is the signal. If they give warm hugs to colleagues but offer you a stiff handshake, that is the signal that reveals the truth. We've decoded the 5 key signals: the tell of the eyes, revealing internal conflict; the silent wall of defensive body language, the unspoken disconnect of no mirroring, the hollow words of forced engagement, and the invisible fence of personal space. You now have the tools to read the hidden emotional language of those around you, but the purpose of this knowledge is not to make you paranoid or to turn you into a human lie detector, constantly scanning for threats. That is a prison of its own. The true victory is not in being liked by everyone. That is an impossible and exhausting goal reserved for fools. The true victory is in not being disturbed when you aren't. This is the ultimate Stoic solution. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The pain of being disliked comes not from the dislike itself, but from your judgment about it. The false story that their opinion diminishes your worth. This knowledge gives you the power to wipe out that judgment, to see the situation for what it is: an incompatibility, a mismatch of energies, information, not a verdict on your character. You are no longer a victim of social confusion, wondering if it's all in your head. You are an empowered observer, making rational, informed choices about where to invest your precious and finite time, attention, and energy. You can now choose to invest in fertile ground, rather than trying to grow a garden on barren rock. Your inner peace is not a gift that others can give you, and therefore it is not a gift they can take away. It is a fortress you build yourself, brick by brick, with every objective judgment you make. If you are ready to stop outsourcing your self-worth and choose that peace over the exhausting pursuit of approval, take the first step in building your inner citadel. Drop this affirmation in the comments below. I choose peace over approval. Your declaration is a powerful act. It could be the one thing someone else needs to see today to begin their own journey from anxiety to empowerment. As we bring this to a close, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. But most importantly, remember their words, their looks, their silence. None of these can breach your fortress unless you open the gates. Guard the gates well. Stay stoic, my friend.